She's a diamond. She's a diamond girl. She's a diamond. Diamond, diamond, diamond. Hi YouTube, it's Princess Diamond. Welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to do kind of an in-depth tutorial on how to part for box braids, knotless braids, soft locks, any style like that where you're doing box parting. So bear with me and be a little patient because I'm trying to keep my beginners in mind. So starting out, I'm just going right above the ear. I'm using the end of a rat tail comb. And right above the ear, I'm just going to part a straight line from ear to ear. So I'm starting on one side of the ear and, parting that line. And this is just kind of a guide. I'm not really trying to get the parts all clean at this point. And so then I'm going to go on the other side of the ear and again using the end of that rat tail comb and align it with the top of her ear and part it and make the two parts connect. So now that I have my part from ear to ear, as you guys can see, it's right above her ears. The line is right above her ears. And again, I'm not too worried about making the parts clean at this point. I'll come back and clean it up once I'm ready to actually braid it down. If you wanted to, this section right here, you can split into two. But for my cousin, just giving the amount of her hair, I'm just going to split it into three. Now, one thing that I think can help, especially for beginners, is making sure you have a middle line guide. So just go directly from the middle of her head, like kind of where the neck bone is, and make a straight line going up. And this is just a little guide to help you with your horizontal lines going straight across. And so I'm using my rat tail comb, and this is just giving myself a little guide of where I'm going to place these parts. I'm going to do 3 parts in this one section right here. Okay, so this back section that I parted from ear to ear, we're going to do 3 rows. So as you guys already seen, I used that rat tail comb to kind of give me a guide of where I wanted to place it, to make sure the parts were going to be even, to make sure it was going to be a big enough space to be able to put 3 rows. If it wasn't, then I would have just went with 2 rows. Now this braid or this parting size, for me, is my medium size. And how I determine that is I do 7 rows, which you guys will see once you watch the entire video. So I'm going to do 3 rows at this back section. This section right here below her ears is going to have a total of 3 rows. And then above her ears, we're going to do a total of 4 rows. And again, you guys will see me do that if you just continue watching. But a total of 7 rows is going to be considered my medium-sized knotless box braids. So with this first row, I went ahead and just split it down the middle, so right in half, and I'm giving her 4 parts. So we're doing box parting, so we're just going to make sure that these boxes are as even as possible. Now, usually I don't worry about twisting up like this. I just wanted to do this to show you guys the boxes or the squares. And I'm not even going to show you guys like me braiding it. I'm just literally just focusing on the parting. So now that I've put in the braids, you guys can see this first row is completely finished. And again, using the end of my rat tail comb, I'm giving myself a little guide of where I want to place that next part for the next row. So I'm just going to go directly in the middle of this section, right? And so we're in the middle. And again, I use the 2 halves to kind of help me make that straight horizontal line. And if you think that you can just go ahead and do it without having to split this part into 2 halves, then go ahead and just, leave it as one and make your straight line straight across. So then after I do my freeform part, then I'm just going to go in with the edge control over that part and I'm going to clean it up. Because now, once I clean it up, now I can go back and actually do my braid. But you don't want to clean it up until you're ready to do your braid, because then you're just going to have to keep going back to clean it up. A good thing to help you guys with parting is once you're parting, kind of just step away from the client and just so you can have a nice view and making sure that the line or the part is straight. Sometimes our eyes can be a little deceiving when we're too close. So just kind of step back a little bit and, you know, look at it from different angles. Don't be afraid to go back and repart. I strongly advise you guys, if you are a beginner, to maybe get a family member, a sister, a mom, cousin, friend, you know, and let them know that you want to practice. That way you can take your time and not feel rushed when you're doing this. Because in the beginning, you are not even in the beginning. I'm not a beginner braider, and I still have to go over my parts multiple times to ensure that it is straight. And I would rather do that than to mess it up trying to go fast. So to do the bricklayer part, I am going directly above one of the braids. So one of those boxes, I'm going to go straight in the middle and go up. Hopefully that makes sense. So basically, I'm parting a box in the center of two braids that are below it. And then I'm going to clean up my part. So you see this part right here is directly in the center of the braid or the box that is below it. And then same thing with this part. This part is directly in the center of the braid or the box below it. And then I'm just going to continue to do the same thing for that entire row. And again, I just wanted to show you guys the boxes, so that's why I'm just kind of twisting it up just for you guys to get a visual. But I normally would not do that. Once I get the box parting that I want, then I would just go straight into doing the braid. Now this is just, of course, a preference thing. So, but I just wanted to let you guys know that what I'm doing right here is solely just for the teaching part of the video. So doing the exact same thing on the other side, making that part directly in the center of that box that is below it. All right, so this is the parting. Typically, you will have one extra box above the row that you first did. So as you guys can see, the first row had 4 boxes. That second row above it has 5 boxes. So I'm just giving myself, again, a guide on where I'm going to be placing my parting. Again, we're just going to go directly in the center of each box that is below it. And this is just to help all of the braids fall flat so that it is laying like bricks and not stacking right above each other. So now that I'm ready to braid this row is when I'm going to clean up the part for this row. And I'm doing the exact same thing, continuing with the brick part layering. So again, I'm just going in between, I'm just making boxes in between each of the boxes that are below it. So there's my part from ear to ear. And you guys can see it's directly right above her ear. And again, on the other side, directly right above her ear. So this right here is the middle part. So I know that however many braids I do on one side, I'm going to do the exact same amount of braids on the other side. So I'm placing that part. See, it's going to be centered right in the middle of the box below it. And I'm just going to part it up, and then I'm going to go back and clean up that part. So I like to use, as you guys can see, the end of that rat tail comb to really give myself a guide, and I can get a visual of where I'm going to be placing that part, if the sizing is correct, if the line is going to be straight, you know, kind of just be able to see it before I actually make the part. So now I have the boxes parted for this third row in this section. And as you guys can see, in this third row, there's a total of 6 boxes. So we started with 4, then 5, now 6. So if you would have started with 3 braids in the very first row at the very bottom, it would have been 3 braids at the first row, 4 braids in the next row above it, and then 5 braids in the third row. So everything is brick layered. The braids are falling in between each braid and nothing is stacking. So for this very first bottom half, we did 3 rows. And now for the top half, which is going to be from the ears on up, we're going to do a total of 4 rows altogether. Again, it's going to be 7 rows total. So with the middle part, make sure you are parting from the front facing your client. To start out with, you want to make sure that you have a clean, even middle part, and just do that with aligning the rat tail comb, the end of the rat tail comb to the center of her nose, and then just going straight up. So right here, I'm just going to part it about halfway through her head. I'm going to stop right there at the top. You see where my finger and her middle part makes an L shape. I'm going to stop right there, and then I'm just going to do a straight line, and that's going to go down and meet behind her ear. And now on her other side, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to connect that line though, and again, still meet it right behind her ear. And now here's another part that is connecting from ear to ear, but this time it's going right behind her ear. So again, here's an extra step that you don't have to do, but for my beginners, this will be a good guide or just helpful to help you to keep your line straight. So I'm just doing a middle part there. And so I'm going from the braid and connecting it to the middle part that I did in the front of her head. Now this one, you don't have to worry about it being perfect. This is just a little, a little extra step just to help you when you're doing your rows in this section, to making sure that these lines or these parts in this section are going to be straight. And these are the parts that are going to go horizontally. So this vertical line right here in the center is not that big of a deal in making sure that it is perfect. Okay, so for her rows, we're counting them from that center point to her ear. So this first half that I'm doing. And since I told you guys I'm doing 4 rows, I'm going to do a middle line right here just to give me a guide. So for this middle part right here, I know I'm going to do 2 rows on both sides. And this is just a guide. This is going to help me to keep these rows as equal or even as possible. So now that I have those 2 parts separated, I know that there's going to be 2 rows in each one. So now I'm going to do another part right here directly in the center, and now this is going to be my first row. And this is an important step to do to get an idea of where each of these lines for your rows are going to be placed, so that way your rows don't start to slant. It's really sometimes difficult to get these parts in the front of the head to be all even because of how the head is shaped. So I'm going to do the same exact thing on the other side of the front of her head, and then once I have that first row on this other side now achieved, then I'm going to connect the lines in the middle of her head. When parting these front rows, it's important that you're also looking in the front of your client, so not just like the side. Kind of turn your client so that way you can see how the rows are looking facing her. So as I said, now I'm just going to take these lines and I'm just going to connect it from both sides. And so that's why I kind of did split this middle section in half, is just to help connecting them, to make sure that these lines are straight and even. It is an extra step to have all of these different sections to put away and take out and part. But if you're having trouble with getting your lines or your part straight, this is a great way to just help guide yourself in making sure that your lines are connecting and they're straight. So after I've gotten my part, I'm going to take my Shine and Jam and put it over my part. And then I'm going to go back and clean up my part. Okay, so now this would be considered my fourth row, and after I've done this, I find one braid and I put the rat tail comb right in the middle of that and go straight up to create my part that's going to be above that. And then I just continue with making the boxes about the same size. And now I'm just going to continue with the bricklayer parting, placing the part in the center of the braid below it. Okay, so now I'm just going to continue doing the same thing with rows 5 and row 6. I kind of already knew where I was going to put that part because remember I had did that center part. So that's my guide right there. I'm just going to follow that and again connect it with the center and the other side. And you can see even in here, I'm using the end of the rat tail comb, again, placing it as a guide to see where this part is going to go, if it's big enough, and if it's going to be equal and even before I even continue with it. So now I just completed row 6, and this last section right here is my final row. This is, even though it's 2 rows, it's just considered as one. So I'm going to split this down the middle directly in half. This is a good time to make sure your middle part is straight. So making sure that you're turning your client back around again to face them, and make sure that this middle part is still even before you continue. This is your very last chance to making it right. So once you get your part how you want it down the center, you're going to clean it up again, and we're just going to continue with the bricklayer parting, doing the same exact thing that I have been repeating the entire video. So I'm doing 4 braids in this very last section. And then for the other half of this row, I'm just going to do the exact same thing, but I'm going to match it up. This is why it's just considered one row. So those lines, so that middle line right there in the center, I'm just going to match up those same rows. So you should have whatever amount that you did on the right side or on the left side, whichever one you started with, you should have the same amount on the other side. So that is it, you guys. This is the final result of the box parting. If you guys want more details on the braids, how to do knotless braids, how to do the boho look, how to tuck where I was able to hide her natural hair, be sure to check out some of my other videos. I'll try to link them down below in the description. But I hope this in-depth tutorial was helpful for you guys. And if it was, please be sure to give this video a like. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. If you like this look and you're interested in the hair details, they will be down in the description. We used the color 350. We used 4 packs of the braiding hair and 1 bundle or 1 pack of the human curly hair. So just for anyone who is interested in that. But yeah, I will talk to you guys in my next video. I hope you guys be blessed, stay protected, stay filled with love and peace.